So let me get this straight. You're both from the aligned continuity, so you're the same guy, except your sizes are way off. And your weapons are completely different. And your vehicle modes are complete opposites. I find this highly illogical. So logic dictates that I should review a transformer that's somewhat new, and since my area is notoriously slow and I can't find Grimwing anywhere, let's go with the next best bet and review the fiercely loyal or power hungry. Fiercely loyal Decepticon scientist, Shockwave from the Beast Hunters line. Presented here is his vehicle mode, a spiky Cybertronian tank, cause what does a scientist need with subtlety? It's a very nice deep purple color with varying shades of gray and silver to break it up. On the front is his iconic chest shape, colored red. There's a purist in me that wishes it was light purple, but it's a necessary change to keep him from looking monochromatic. The coloring's not as consistent as I'd like. The cannon, for instance, has molding that flows through the two halves of the weapon, but the gray doesn't come close to matching up. Do like the silver on the tip, though. As tanks go, it's a rather strange design. Huge front sections just to hold onto one wheel each. Meanwhile, the rear has traditional treads. Don't worry, they're false. You can see wheels poking through them. It's just very different for a tank design, which isn't always a bad thing. Speaking of, why is the nice molding on the treads armor not painted? Other nice details I like are the extra blades sticking out. Makes him look like that kind of awesome tank you draw when you were bored at school. Though mine would have more bulk in the sides. There are panels on top to make it look more solid from above, but if you look at it from the side, he seems to be missing some mass. In fact, it might just be mine, but there's a few things off here. It's hard for me to get all four wheels to touch ground, which is kind of frustrating, and the cannon doesn't want to sit level. Both of these could be just faults on mine, but when the design is so simple, I'd think it would be hard for little errors like that to crop up. But that's enough negatives. Want to know what saves this? And you won't believe this because it's me talking. It's the gimmick. The cannon's gimmick is awesome. Push down the plunger and... the shell of the cannon is held on with light springs, so the spinning action pulls them apart and reveals a translucent red core, like some spinning railgun. It's an awesome effect, and if it had the LED from the last series of Voyagers, it'd be even better. And I can't believe I'm saying that. So let me amend a previous stance on such things. Intrusive gimmicks are evil. If it breaks the figure, bad. If you have a big cannon that has nothing to do in either mode, you gimmick that thing hardcore. Speaking of, this is Beast Hunters, so let's peg on his rubbery armor of unnecessary spikes. I joke, but I love how much this changes his look. He becomes some demonic scorpion beast. I feel like I need to start rolling 20-sided dice looking at him. It's such a dramatic change to the look of the vehicle mode, it really changes my opinion of it. Having the option in aesthetics is a great plus. Actually, I wish I had more, like back legs and a stinger or something. So let's transform it, and really, I doubt I'll have to fast forward this one because it's so boring. You probably figured out how it changes already. It's very basic and simple. Now, I prefer a clean, efficient transformation as opposed to the overly complex we've had since the movie toys. But this is bare bones. Though it is Shockwave, why would he overcomplicate his design trying to make a better looking vehicle mode when he just has to put wheels under his feet and strap some treads to his back? So it's actually in character to have such a logical transformation? I'm not sure how I feel about him anymore. Oh, now I remember why I like this toy. In robot mode, Shockwave is amazing looking. Very cool take on the classic design of the character, and very in line with his model on the show. The head is very fierce, with a classic Cyclops eye and lots of blades on his head. The light piping doesn't work too well due to his backpack, and even if it is breaking up the monochrome colors, I still think Shockwave's eye should always be yellow. Paint detailing is sparse, but it's made up for by good use of plastic coloring and molded details. We get a better look at the chest now and all the intricate circuit patterns, as well as a spot where Decepticon symbol was clearly supposed to go. The difficult part about reviewing the details here is you've really seen most of them, since the vehicle is so simple. I guess that just leaves articulation, so let's get to the elephant in the room out of the way. Hips. Ugh. I hate these ratcheted hips where you either have straight or splayed legs. It's one of my biggest pet peeves, and somehow he's not the first purple Cyclops at this size to have the problem. I'll show some poses in a bit to demonstrate how it's an issue. For now, the head rotates all the way around, the shoulders are universal, and even have spring-loaded covers for the outward movement. There's bicep rotation, though for the transformation, one of them is kinda awkward, and both arms do have elbows, with the cannon arm slightly more limited. Wrist rotates too, but it's a stiff one. Then yes, those hips. Besides those, he has a rotation at the hips and the knees have 90 degrees ratcheted bending. Now can you kind of see the issue with the hips? You could make another in-character argument, it is stoic Shockwave, but you want some motion in the poses you pick, and here the only options you get are either lifeless or exaggerated. Using the legs takes him out of character in this case. You can get some decent poses, they're just not Shockwave poses. I mean, you can't even give him a more natural looking stance with his legs open a little, even though his feet are molded to do that. Speaking of hindering articulation, as a bonus gimmick, one of Shockwave's treads can be unraveled and attached to his cannon arm to further mimic his traditional appearance. It looks good. I do like when they work in the hose, and since this rubbery plastic won't see much use or stress, I don't worry about it over the long term. I do worry that it limits the arm's articulation. The rubber's actually stiff enough that it can't go straight down to his side with it in place. So posability isn't a strength of the toy. Luckily, his gimmick still works in this mode, so there's that. And the armor also still fits. Kind of amazing how much these parts make me forget the toy's flaws. I will admit, I think it could have been used better. The look of the claws is a little lost where they are, but they add that Beast Hunter's crazy spikes everywhere look that I like. And somehow making Shockwave look like he's possessed by some Lovecraftian horror makes those wide leg poses he can assume kinda look like they make sense. In the end, I'm really torn on Shockwave. The look is spot on. The gimmick and accessory armor are great in both modes, but the hips really hurt the articulation, and his transformation is simple to the point of making the vehicle look cheap. Whenever Cybertronian is used to describe a vehicle mode, it either gives them a lot of room to be imaginative, or an excuse to go simple. Well, it's not very imaginative. I think this is a very middle-of-the-road toy. It has as many faults as it does merits. If you're a fan of Shockwave, you already made your choice on this toy. And if you're on the fence, this probably didn't help. If your main reason for getting him is a representation of the character in the show, you'll do fine. If not, well, maybe wait for a discount.